track of their own contributions. Because you could have a whole datathon for paintings of India and just do the depict statement, right? I didn't realize this, but just looking at something simple such as paintings of World Heritage in India, there's almost nothing. So we know the paintings are there. It's just no one has bothered to link them up. So I think it's important to. Oh, Satya! Hi, Satya. Nice to
Hey
see
Jen, how are you?
Very good. You're not involved in Wikidata at all, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But it's so nice for you to tune in right on time. That's great.
Same, yeah.
But I do think it's important to just show the possibilities, and then anybody who has a specific interest can just go ahead and do what they want to do. So, for example, for a wiki sorcerer, I would, as a cataloger, I would love it if some old catalog of paintings could be, attached to Wikidata somehow. That would be awesome. But right now, I don't know about Indian Wikisource, but on English Wikisource, they don't want to have modern images of paintings to substitute the old black and white engravings or old black and white lithographs that are in the books, right? The books are holy. You can't touch them. You can't update them, and you can't link them to anything. I find that very upsetting because I always want to be able to show the user the most beautiful Google art, high resolution image that we have of any painting. And it just seems like such a waste of time to show some old black and white scan from a book. But that's a,
Jen, there is a book called Oriental Scenery, and it is in Wikisource, and the scan pages are in black and white, but you can find the colored images there. So I can share the link.
Okay, because that would be a really great contribution to have, not just for showing how catalogs can be used on Wikidata, but also to show how you can improve on these older books by showing the actual updated, large, colorful images. And then it also helps the reader understand why someone bothered to make a catalog to begin with, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've shared this link, and we will wait for another 4 or 5 minutes, and then we can start.
Okay, you shared the link. Where did you share the link?
It is in the chat link, in the Google Meet chat.
Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, great.
Yep.
Now, if I click on this link, will I stay in my screen? Yes.
So go below, and you will find. Part 1. Go to part 1 or.
Oh, it's like maybe part 1. Oh, here. Oh yeah, look at that.
And no, just go below, and you will find different plates. And just click on any plate.
Oh, and you have the color images. Now, are these color images that are actually from the book, or these are actually separate that you put in? Because this is what I want to do on English Wikipedia, and I'm not allowed to do it.
So you go to the link called Figure 13.
Just click on the image.
No, there is a link for Figure 13 at the side of the image. Now go upwards. Go upwards. Just the side of the image, there is Figure 13. Fig 13.
Oh, here,
no,
this.
No.
This is not a link.
No, just go below. Just go below. At the side of the image, beside the image.
This.
Beside Figure 13. Yeah. Just click on it. And you'll see the.
Oh, the black and white. This is the original.
Yeah. So this has been done by one of our most prolific Wikisource editors, Rishikesh Sen, and he has collected the entire paintings from different places in the web and put it here.
Well, this is actually an interesting example because it looks like the color image is only half of the black and white image. It's not the same
That
image.
might be a consequence of the formatting of the page namespace. I'm sure if you click on the image, it won't be truncated.
No, but this tree is totally different than that tree. I can see. Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe the black and white image is truncated. Yeah, you're right. Interesting. Oh yeah, that's a great project. So yes, so these are these images are all probably Wikidata worthy, right? So because there's actually a book about the images. And then the places that are depicted in them, such as this particular specific, it looks like a fortification, a fortified building, that can be added as in the depict statement. So that's exactly the kind of example that I think we need more of, that unifies Wikisource with Wikidata. We really have very little links with Wikisource now. And part of it is, I think, a reluctance to actually think about how to link Wikisource to Wikidata. Because
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt, Jen, but I think we can start now because it's 6:05 Indian Standard Time.
okay,
And
start.
yeah, so
5 minutes.
I will just introduce you and the project and what we are trying to do in our webinar, and then it will be over to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So hello everyone. Welcome to the first webinar session organized by Wikidata Wiki Project India on the occasion of the 8th birthday of Wikidata. So you might all know that we are celebrating the 8th birthday throughout the month of October in different parts of the world. Now, Indian Wikidata community will be celebrating the birthday through a series of events. We'll be conducting 3 webinars on 3 different interesting topics. The first one is Sum of All Paintings, which will be conducted today, and after 6 days, there will be a session of Abstract Wikipedia, and after that, there will be another session on Wikidata Lexeme. And there will also be a datathon, which will start from tomorrow. Jane will be introducing that today. So today on our first webinar, we will be discussing about Sum of All Paintings, which is a wiki project which intends to have a Wikidata item for every notable paintings in the world. And we have with us Jane Darnell, who is one of the most prolific Wikidata contributors in the world, to speak about this topic. Yeah, who is mostly active on the visual arts project and Sum of All Paintings project. And Jane will talk about the history of the Sum of All Paintings project on Wikidata and how paintings are modeled as structured data on Wikidata and how Indian community can engage with that project. And we will have a Etherpad link where if anyone can go there, and if you are comfortable, you can take the notes. I personally will take the note there. The questions from the community or from you as a participant will be you can put it there on the Google Meet chat or in the Etherpad. I will compile it together, and at the end of the session, I will let Jane answer all the questions from this project. So we will, another very important thing, we will follow the code of conduct and friendly space policy of Wikimedia. I hope everyone knows about that, but just to be short, we are not going to personally attack anyone or harass anyone. We are going to maintain a friendly space here, and I hope everybody will comply to that. And over to.
Okay.
Don't want to waste much time.
Okay, thanks a lot. That's a very nice introduction. And I always forget about the friendly space policy, but you're absolutely right. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to first talk a little bit about the Sum of All Paintings, which is a project that, let's see, when did it start? It started in 2013. So Wikidata, we're celebrating the 8th birthday, so it's 2012 is the official birthday date. But the first Wikipedia project to be integrated into Wikidata was the Hungarian Wikipedia. And I don't know if there's anybody here today who can speak Hungarian, but I certainly cannot speak Hungarian. But I did know they had lots of paintings, so I was very eager to see what was going to happen with the paintings on Wikidata, because I really couldn't visualize what Wikidata was until it started filling up with data. And very quickly, I understood that this was going to be the key to solve a lot of the problems that I was experiencing in English Wikipedia, because I think I started in 2006 contributing to English Wikipedia, and I was involved with Wiki Loves Monuments. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Wiki Loves Monuments, which is permanently installed cultural heritage. So in my case, it was mostly older buildings in the Netherlands. I got involved with that in 2010. And from there, I started getting heavily involved in paintings, because I was just as interested in the contents of the older buildings as I was in the older buildings. And in Haarlem, which is the town next to where I live, a lot of the paintings that were painted in the 17th century used to hang in buildings that still exist today. They've all been sold off, of course. Haarlem experienced a very, very severe recession in the 18th century. And during the course of the 18th century, a lot of important paintings were sold. And during the course of the 19th century, even more paintings were sold. But for me, that makes it a little bit fun, because it means that a lot of paintings have survived today. They're in museums all over the world, and it's always fun to discover them. But part of the problem with adding paintings to Wikipedias was that I noticed that a lot of people added paintings to illustrate Wikipedia, but those paintings did not actually have any metadata in them at all. So it's almost like knitting or crochet work, or you know, any other kind of hobby with your fingers to actually, you know, match up these paintings with their actual metadata. So it's just something that I like to do. In fact, I can do it while I'm watching television, that I can see a painting, recognize it for the type of painting it is, and then sort of locate the original that's on some collection website somewhere in the world. And as I've done this, and the 17th century Dutch art, of course, I started with Haarlem art and branched out to Amsterdam art, and now it's pretty much anything that is in the Netherlands or in Flanders. I can sort of recognize them, and I can actually link them up. So I'm very active on Wikidata. I'm very active on Commons, and I remain active on Wikipedia projects, the Dutch and English Wikipedia. But if you look at my activity pages, you'll notice that my activity has dropped amazingly for the past few years. And in fact, I do almost everything on Wikidata now. So I will show you quickly the sum of all paintings. Let me, this is the page that I'm launching today, which is this birthday present to Wikidata for the 8th birthday. And we're going to have a datathon. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to model the paintings. But just to illustrate something, this painting is one that I uploaded this morning. It's a painting of a place in India that is in fact a World Heritage Site. And because I uploaded it today, I added one painting that depicts this World Heritage Site. Until I did it, there was no painting on Wikidata yet that illustrated this site, which is called in Wikidata Sanchi. And you'll notice if I say what links here, that there's not much linked to Sanchi, but because I did this, this now triggers this Listeria list and has added Sanchi. Sanchi now appears with one painting depicting it as a place in India. So this list here is one of, I don't even know how many monitoring lists that that update based on painting items that have been added to Wikidata. So I added this painting, I knew it would trigger this list, and I hit this button here on the right saying manually update this list. Otherwise, all of these lists just update semi-automatically once a month. And this is a list that I created for the location of India, and that is part of this Sum of All Paintings. Now, this is the Sum of All Paintings project, which is the one that we started back in 2013. We received an award for our work in 2019 as being one of the cooler projects. And the reason we're one of the cooler projects is not because what we do is so exciting. It's actually mostly quite boring. It's actually a very photogenic project. If you want to show off Wikidata to someone, it's always nice and non-controversial to show people beautiful colored paintings. And so because it's so easy to illustrate, it has become extremely popular for third parties. So there are a lot of third parties that use the paintings that have been added through the Sum of All Paintings project. And this page, which needs some updating, but we don't dare update it because it has these translations into various languages, is really kind of the state. It shows you the state of the project as it was in 2013. So we basically just said the goal of the project is to have a Wikidata item for every notable painting. And notability is a concept that is different for every single Wikimedia project, right? So on Wikisource, you can't just upload any old book, you have rules. And on Wikipedia, you can't just create a Wikipedia page for every single person or every single painting. There are notability rules. Well, Wikidata has different notability rules. And the notability rules that are most relevant to the Paintings project is this idea of 1 degree of separation. So to put it in terms of landscapes, such as the example I just showed of this watercolor painting of Sanchi, the watercolor painting itself probably does not meet the notability rules to have a Wikipedia article written about it. But it's notable enough for Wikidata because it is painted by a painter who does fit the notability rules for Wikipedia. And it also depicts a World Heritage Site, which obviously fits the notability rules for Wikipedia. Does that make sense? Is everybody following me? Just put a yes in the chat so I know you're still.
It makes.
Okay, great. This idea of the Sum of All Paintings was to take this concept of notable paintings and then just say, okay, what if we went ahead and uploaded complete collections of paintings? So if I go to the Rijksmuseum, which is the largest national museum near me, it's about a 20-minute train ride from my house, I will see at any given day that I'm there about 1,000 paintings that are on display if I walk through every room. But of course, they have many more than 1,000 paintings. So we thought, well, you know, they don't even know what they have in their storage space. If we could upload their entire collection under the assumption that everything that they have in their collection is worth keeping, right? It costs a lot of money to keep that stuff in special conditions and you know, the various insurance policies they have for everything. So let's just do that and see what's in there. And so we did that. So we started with the Rijksmuseum, and I'm talking about the work done by Maarten Delmers, and he started increasingly adding more and more collections. So this is where this idea of metadata comes in. So this idea of minimum metadata. What is the minimum metadata that you need in order to determine this is a single painting and there is no other painting exactly like this painting? And it's much easier when you talk about collections, because with collections, they have this concept of an ID number, and there is no double ID number for the same painting within the same collection. So this is when we started to have, in 2013 and 2014, we started to have all these paintings that only had one label in one language, a lot of them Dutch, obviously, because Maarten was doing it. And then we had a lot of them were not illustrated yet. But the reason we picked the Rijksmuseum was because the Rijksmuseum actually did have quite a few paintings that were in Commons already, because in 2009, well before the birth of Wikidata, they had this amazing, they had this amazing project. I'm just going to try and look this up for you, to upload every single painting. So here we are, Rijksmuseum Amsterdam paintings. And we actually have all of their paintings, and it's quite a lot. I think it's something between 5,000 and 6,000 paintings, and we have them on Commons already. So creating the Wikidata was just a question of hooking them up to the actual paintings that they had. And then once we had them, then it was also a challenge to actually see, okay, well, what is this painting actually depicting? What is this a painting of? And you know, they have quite a few paintings that are historically came into their collection just through bequests, which I think is a typical Western museum phenomenon. I think if you look at something like the Metropolitan Museum of Art or the National Gallery in London, a lot of the paintings that are in there came in through bequests. So you kind of need to know who were the main collectors and what were they up to before you start to delve into how did this painting get into the museum. And that's where you know, modeling challenges started. I'm just going to click on one of these and see how it's modeled, just to show you as an example. So this was probably uploaded in one of the early days. Let's see, it was uploaded, sure enough, in 2008 already. So well before the major 2009 upload. So this was uploaded well before Wikidata. It has this Wikidata item today. And you can see these are all the statements on this painting. So in order to be tracked by the Sum of All Paintings project, it has to have this instance of equal to painting. So that's key. If it's not a painting, if it's a drawing or if it's a watercolor painting, we won't see it. So to make it visible, it has to be a painting. So even if it's watercolor or oil or gouache, doesn't matter, it's a painting for us. All right, it has a rough guide of inception. It has a country, which doesn't seem to reflect what it's actually of. The title says it's an Albanese sailor, Albanian sailor, but okay, it's saying it's the country Netherlands, probably because it's hanging in the Netherlands. It's a portrait, and it's linked to its painter. So the painter also has an item on Wikidata. It has the material used. It has the collection. It has the inventory number, which I told you this is the key for mass uploads. It's a unique number, which makes it so that any other copy of this painting, maybe somebody uploaded it because they wanted to use it for a fashion, to illustrate a fashion article on some Wikipedia, that painting file that they uploaded, which happens very often. Sometimes we have, I think for the Night Watch, which is one of the most famous paintings of Amsterdam, we have over 150 copies of it on Commons, because people just think, oh, this is a really cool painting, I'm going to upload it and use it in my Wikipedia. But we have 180 language Wikipedias, so not all language Wikipedias know that we already have an article for that painting. So here's the measurements of the painting. So this idea of adding measurements was also, somebody just decided, hey, it's in the metadata. Can we go ahead and add that? And how do we model it? Well, let's create a property for width and for height, right? So these are the in-person conversations we're having to describe paintings in order to model paintings on Wikidata. And this is also relatively new, the copyright status. This is something that really only started, I think, a couple of years ago, because we have this other project that's getting off the ground right now, which is this structured data on Commons, which I think some of you might have heard of and I don't know very much about, but that's like the next big thing that's going to be coming down the pike for us in terms of the sum of all paintings. Now, this painting has a lot more information available at the collection site, which we can also link to. So we tried to have ways of including all data for a particular painting from a collection, but we realized actually every collection has their own way of doing that. We're not even going to try to copy that one-on-one. We'll just have this generic property saying, you know, this is a link you can go to for more information. So this is also a nice way for newbies to start off creating items about paintings, and then let's say the painting they got off an auction website or something, they can just dump the URL in there and they don't have to worry about too many other things about Wikidata, because a Wikidatan who knows how to do a painting come along and pick out the information they know to add other properties. So this is also an interesting thing that we have on the sum of all paintings, and it's, I guess, available for anything. It's not just for paintings, but the Rijksmuseum does use it for paintings, and it's a Dutch invention. It's this thing called icon class notation, and it really goes back to the Dewey Decimal System, which was used for books as a way to describe publications, specifically book publications. And this icon class notation was created along the lines of the Dewey Decimal System in the 1960s in order to describe paintings. It was going to help libraries, but also collections in the Netherlands to categorize their two-dimensional art. So mostly engravings, and then also paintings. And I'm not going to ask you to click on these. There is a website behind it. It's pretty fascinating. And I've noticed in using it that it's mostly useful for religious paintings. So if you are really heavily into Christian art, and you want to know a little bit about the differences of iconography, I can't get the word out of my mouth, for various poses of the Madonna and Child, for example, throughout the world, this is a great way to find the specific type of Madonna it is. I'm surprised to find it here in an Albanese sailor painting, but the Rijksmuseum is one of the leaders in this categorization effort. And I think they made an effort about 6 or 7 years ago to actually publish icon class codes for every single painting that was on show. So not every painting from the entire collection of 6,000 paintings or whatever, but at least for all the paintings on show. Okay, so we're going to go back to this idea of further metadata of the sum of all paintings. I have presented a couple of times about the sum of all paintings, about the work that I like to do, which is working on catalogs. And I work on various types of catalogs. I started off working on catalog raisonnés for individual artists. And Frans Hals was my first one because Frans Hals was the most famous painter from Haarlem, which is the way I got involved in Wikipedia to begin with, was, you know, something that was local to me, right? And I think a lot of people who are involved in Wikimedia projects are also triggered by the things that are around them. And I think that's also the best way to get involved, because it enables you to relate this wider world of Wikimedia to your specific situation. So working from Frans Hals led me to these collections that are all over the world. And then I started getting involved in, first of all, other paintings from painters from Haarlem, but also paintings that are in collections that have paintings from Haarlem. So this is also an early attempt to show a mapping from Wikimedia Commons to Wikidata. And for any of you who are active on Wikimedia Commons, this kind of, not really, but kind of shows you a parallel between how we handle the artwork template on Commons. And the artwork template has been around for a long time, I think before 2008. But the Wikidata, obviously being only started to be used seriously by paintings in 2013, didn't have ways to describe everything that we have on Commons. So this was one of my early attempts to try and orient people to the differences between the two. And I used to actually have to line these up together and make sure they matched. And on both sides, there was no real link to them. But if I show you today what I uploaded this morning, so if I go to my uploads here, that's this one. Are there any questions, by the way, but with anything that I said? Am I going too fast? Give me a little sign that it's okay. You can still hear me.
There is one question, Jen, if you want to answer now or you can answer it later. Subodh has asked about the notability documentation on Wikidata.
Okay.
I can't understand. Yeah.
I actually included the Wikidata notability documentation. I tried to make everything linkable from this one page. So here, this is the link right here, Wikidata notability. So you can go to that link and you can read all about Wikidata notability. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about how Wikidata integrates with Wikimedia Commons. So this is a painting that I uploaded this morning, and you're seeing this information in the artwork template, and with this little pen next to it, it's indicating that this is actually not coming from Commons, but it's coming from Wiki data. And if I show you that I first uploaded it on Commons and then I later created the item, this information in the comment is all I added to it at the moment of upload. So if I click edit here, you can see that the number of things that are filled into this artwork template is only the Wikidata item, this text that came from the collection website, I filled in the medium, and I filled in this link. The rest are categories. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines that are in the artwork template. But when we go back to the artwork template information, we see there's a lot more lines of that. So the genre is coming from Wikidata, that it's an object type painting is coming from there. The title is coming from there. I didn't fill that in. This is the text that I filled in. The date is coming from Wikidata. The collection with its little info box is all Wikidata based, right? The artist is coming from Wikidata. So, and the image is also coming from Wikidata. I added the image on Wikidata. So here, the actual link to this painting where I downloaded it from is also showing up as a reference because I added the same link in Wikidata. And here's the accession number, which means it's a unique painting. Now, this guy, William Simpson, traveled quite a bit in India, and he made quite a few watercolor paintings in the 1860s, and probably his entire group of paintings should be uploaded just for their historical importance, because this Sanchi example shows you how dilapidated it was in the 19th century. It looks completely different today. Okay, so that's just showing you how the integration, how far we are with the integration between Wikidata and Wikimedia Commons. I'm going to go back to that page, which I think is linked here. Here we are. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly go through these various parts of this page. So I'll leave the data model alone. Here we go, coming down to task list. So this is just something that I wrote down this morning very quickly to talk about paintings. Notability is definitely an issue, but it's less of an issue in general than it is on Wikipedia. That's important to keep in mind. There's this 1 degree rule. And then there's this idea of what is a painting and, you know, what do we call a painting? So, for example, there are people who are just mad about miniatures, and miniatures they're very fascinating paintings. They're tiny little paintings and they're beautiful. And there's a whole world out there of people who collect them. But when you add it, if you want to add one to Wikidata for whatever reason, don't call it a miniature painting. Call it a painting. So it's instance of painting. And, you know, the format is a miniature painting, or it's a very small painting, has very tiny measurements, but it is a painting. And then this idea of a painting that, you know it's there, you have proof that it's there because you have a book and it's shown in the book, but you don't actually know very much about it. Can you use a lithograph? And the answer is yes, you can. So even if you don't know exactly all of the metadata, but you know that it's obvious that it did exist, is it worth having an item for it? Yes, it is, especially if it's showing something very important from a historical perspective, or, you know, even if it's used as the major illustration on a Wikidata, on any Wikipedia article, then yes, it definitely is worthy of an item. So this is the link to the notability pages. This is the link to the SOAP project. And then this idea of copyrighted paintings. Can we have them on Wikidata? And the answer is yes. We can have copyrighted paintings on Wikidata with the caveat that no, we cannot have an illustration of it on Wikidata. But that doesn't mean it's not suitable for Wikidata. So we can have modern paintings on Wikidata, and we can upload, the collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And in fact, Martin Domers has done that. But we don't have illustrations for, many of them, very few of them, because of the copyright restrictions for people who have died less than 70 years ago. So yeah, there is a major copyright gap on Wikipedia because Wikipedians don't like to write about things they can't show you, and the same is true for Wikidata. But it really is not an issue. And then there's this idea of authority control for paintings as an idea doesn't really exist. So we have on English Wikipedia this concept of authority control where things are indexed in libraries and so forth. And no, it doesn't exist for paintings specifically. We have a lot of art institutes that link to specific paintings, and the Dutch Institute of Art History is very good when it comes to Dutch and Flemish paintings. But paintings in India, as far as I know, there is no specific iconic place to go to for information about paintings. It doesn't exist. So in order to solve that issue, which is strongly related to the notability issue, obviously, then it's important to know who are your painting scholars, what did they write, are there catalogs that they have contributed to, and then their idea of what is iconic paintings. You can use that as an authority, but it's not any kind of automatic concept the way it is with something like the authority control template on Wikipedia. Now, when it comes to creators for this idea of the paintings of India, I think it's important to emphasize that a creator can also be anonymous. In fact, most of the early paintings that were painted in India in the various religious traditions were mostly anonymous, right? There is no glory to be had in painting religious work, and in the Western early Christian tradition as well. We actually ascribe paintings to schools of various towns and cities without actually knowing exactly who painted them. And in fact, they created these names for Master of Frankfurt and this sort of thing to be able to narrow it down a bit. And you might want to do that for Indian paintings because we haven't even started to do that yet. But for now, a lot of them are anonymous. And then for the ones that are not anonymous, we don't really know, exactly where they hang, for example. And a lot of these are used as illustrations. So I added this painting this morning to this page to illustrate this. This is a painting that's used to illustrate a painter. And if you look at the painter item, it shows that this is a person who was a portrait painter. So if it's a painting of him and it's used to illustrate his page, my idea would be, hey, that might be a self-portrait, but we don't know it's a self-portrait. It could be, but it could also be done by somebody that he met, or, if he's a portrait painter, he might know a lot of other portrait painters. Certainly many portrait painters painted their painter friends. There's nothing wrong with that. So, which leads us to the depicts. So this is a painting that has an image on Wikidata to illustrate the Wikidata item, but it does not have its own painting item yet. We could create an item for this painting and then say it depicts this painter, which is true. And this is a painting which was probably painted in India, although we don't know that for sure. This is a painting that we know for sure was painted in England because the painter painted it in England. And this is the Vice-Ren of India, and I think it's interesting that it's probably a posthumous painting. She died quite young, and she's wearing the dress that she wore to the Delhi Durbar, I think it's called, in 1902. So it's a dress that's now on show, although I haven't been able to find any free pictures of it. That was quite a sight to behold. It was it has a lot of gold thread in it, and was colored with beetle wings, and the embroidery was all from Delhi, and it has a name, Zargozi. So I added that. I actually created an item for the dress because the dress itself caused quite a sensation. It's actually created by Worth of Paris, but the fabric is from India. And this painting is called The Portrait of Mary Curzon, who herself, she was from Chicago, but the title of it includes her title as Baroness, which I think is strange because she's obviously shown here as Vice Wren. So I think that also shows this gap between what the collection holder wants to say and what the original purpose of the painting was. So the painting is kept in Kettleston, but Kettleston Hall, that's where it hangs. But in fact, it really is designed to be this very large-scale portrait that was probably meant to hang in India, except, she died. So, too bad. And I guess the painter, it wasn't clear whether he should finish the painting or not, and it took a few years. So there's quite a gap of, I think, about 4 or 5 years before she died and when the painting was actually finished. But this is clearly a painting of India. It actually shows India craftsmanship, as well as showing some history, without actually being by an Indian painter or in an Indian collection. So this idea of paintings of India is something that could be taken quite loosely as a concept when you're thinking about these things. So yeah, these depicts are just a handful of suggestions, and there's really no limit to the depict statements. I mean, you're only limited by what's on Wikidata, and in some cases, it's worthwhile to actually go ahead and create a Wikidata item to depict something that you really want to have in that painting item. So here are some schools of painting. These were all added by you. I'm not familiar really with the Indian painting schools, but I can tell you for sure that none of these are well represented on Wikidata because of this problem we have with not having the oil paintings. If we don't have the oil paintings, they're not going to be there because they're not hanging in museums. People don't see them, and so they don't take pictures of them, so we don't have them on commons, and it's a vicious circle, right? So you need something like a datathon to sort of jumpstart this thing. And then once you have some examples, people think, oh, well, wait a minute, I actually have something near me and I'll go and take a picture of it. Or, hey, I know something about this and it's on Commons, but there's no metadata, but I know where I can get the metadata for that. So again, here in terms of genres, I was just discussing self-portraits and landscape art. This is just a few of the genres we have, but these are the most popular genres we have. So this is just to throw it out there as a source of inspiration, but it's certainly not something to be like, we're only going to allow this in our datathon. No, absolutely not. These are also obviously just some of the museum collections where you can find Indian paintings. I would absolutely say any painting that is physically located in India is absolutely an Indian painting, even if it's some copy of a Rembrandt painting that somebody took home and then bequeathed to their local museum. It doesn't matter. It's located in India. It's a painting of India. But then not just in India, there are all these paintings that were from India that are all over the world. And they're sort of locked up in this sort of generic Asian collection. And, that's part of the work of a Wikidatan, to sort of unlock those Asian collections. What's in there? We have no idea. It's just this sort of huge, mass of paintings. So here I'm coming down to where I started. So here's this painting that I uploaded yesterday. This painting here is very interesting. This painting of the incarnations of Vishnu was actually in use on the English Wikipedia. I just was browsing around and I found it. It did not have an item, but it was actually used as an illustration on 2 Wikidata items. One for Vishnu, I believe, and I forget what the other one was. Now this is the information that's coming through from the Wikidata item as it is today. So it actually is in the Victoria. I haven't done anything with these cutouts, which are tiny little cutouts that somebody made, I guess, to illustrate other articles. I haven't even looked. But just look at how often this image is used on Wikipedia projects. If you scroll to the bottom of a Commons file, you can see whether it's in use on any other file. And it was used everywhere. It did not have its own item yet. And I think there's a lot of this. And it's not just for Indian painting. I mean, I still find it for a lot of Flemish and Dutch painting as well. And I think that's the low-hanging fruit, right? So if you can actually just go ahead and find these paintings that are actually used to illustrate Wikipedia, and if we start with those for the Datathon, I mean, I think those would be the ones that we should grant the most points. Like, okay, 10 points if you can find one of those and upload it to Wikidata and get an item for it and link it to the things that it's currently illustrating. I mean, that's half the battle. And then more and more people can say, oh, I have one of those 10 incarnations, of Vishnu. And I didn't know it was called Vishnu. They called it something else, and then they will be able to categorize that, and they will be able to associate it with the other paintings that are there. So if we look at this one, I think I put it, yeah, it's called Dashavatara, but I didn't even put it in Vishnu. So here are some other paintings illustrating this concept, and it's not even that well categorized. So it's under this kind of, I mean, when I think of the word Avatar, I think of the movie, right? So it's just not very well categorized, and there's just not very many of them. I mean, if I think of, just in general, okay, we have 180 different Wikipedia projects. They probably all have something to do with Hindu gods. They probably have all got their own uploaded images that they use to illustrate them. I would expect to see more in this category. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so that's on religious paintings that are in use. Oh yeah, this one is also interesting. This is a painting that I found just because I have a few catalogs that I have been working on that are handbooks. When you go to a large museum like the Metropolitan Museum or the Rijksmuseum, whatever, you can go to the gift shop and buy a handbook, and that will generally be the highlights of the collection. So I'm always fascinated if I'm at an old book sale or any book market. You know, we have them here in the summer, obviously not this year because we're all locked inside, but I have a lot of these old highlights catalogs, and it's always fascinating to me to see what the difference is between what a museum thinks are their most important paintings and what Wikidata thinks are their most important paintings. And very often you will find that there is nothing on Wikipedia, Wikidata, or Wikicommons for the most important paintings of a collection. So this particular painting is listed as one of the most important Asian paintings in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. So I looked it up, and then I found it on the collection website and I uploaded it. And it turns out they have a lot more paintings like it in their Asian collection. So just going through this today, I went ahead and uploaded another one using the duplicate this item. So this is the original one that I did. I created a category for it, and this is the one that I created using the duplicate this item. And you know, it is kind of from the same time period, and it's the same type and everything else about it. So if I go to the item, I created it using this little helpful button, which is a gadget that I have in my common.js, which Wikipedians and commonists will know that there are always these shortcuts that you have as a veteran editor that help you do repetitive tasks. So if I go on the history page, you can see that I created this new item, and it was duplicated from this other item, and the other item is just that other painting. So if I've really lost you now, you're welcome to tune out. But if you think this is still helpful information, let me know by saying yes in the chat, giving me a sign that you're still there.
Yes, there.
Okay, good. All right. So we're coming up on 1 hour in. I think I should stop now and take any questions or you know, any comments, suggestions.
So there are two questions actually. So the first question is, does mural also fall under the instance of painting?
A mural, yes, absolutely. In fact, that's something that we have quite a few of. We have people who love murals. You have to be careful with murals because, you know, in some countries, such as here in the Netherlands, we have something called freedom of panorama. So we are free to take images of all public art in the public space, no matter how modern it is. So we are allowed to upload our murals, but in many countries, you're not allowed to do that. So for example, in Australia, I think you're not allowed to do that. But a mural is absolutely an instance of painting. Yeah, the format is a mural, right? And it's probably oil paint. I mean, for the rest, it's exactly the same. We have the same thing for frescoes. Frescoes are something that are often in churches, for example, you know, Renaissance frescoes, and those are very difficult to describe. Often we have very limited metadata. Obviously, the collection of a church, if it's some old church, is not very, does not have any big fancy website that's telling you all this stuff, but a lot of them are very well cataloged. So yes, frescoes and murals, very important types of paintings. What was the next question?
A question from Subodh. There are two questions mainly. So first question is, can we add paintings in personal collection or institutional collection?
Yes, both. So your only actual rule of thumb is this Wikidata notability rule. So I was talking about these mass uploads that Martin Dalmers was doing, and I could tell he was not very happy that I was doing a lot of paintings in private collections. But of course, it's a woven fabric of truth, right? So if you want to talk about the works of Rembrandt, you can't restrict yourself just to institutions that own his paintings, because a lot of Rembrandt paintings are owned by very, very wealthy collectors. And a lot of those paintings, when they go on the market, there's no museum today that can afford to buy them. So, you know, a lot of the biggest and most important paintings in general, I would say, of the Western art tradition are not in institutions. So if we want to describe them, we're going to have to agree that, you know, private collections are fine. So yes, private collections are fine. Now, when it comes to the notability, I mean, if it's a Rembrandt, obviously we want it. It's been cataloged probably 8 or 20 times in the past 100 years. When it comes to these lesser known, watercolor paintings from periods in Indian art, which are hard to pinpoint, sometimes you don't know is it Indian, is it Persian, who knows? You really need the catalog. But if you have any catalog that uses that painting, that's your authority control, right? So the catalog itself is linked to whoever wrote it or whoever published it. So you have this 1 degree of notability that you can always use. So if you know that it was auctioned as being by this painter, go ahead. I would say go ahead and do it, because even if it turns out that the auction house was being very, very optimistic, and in fact, some later historians said, well, that's ridiculous. It's not by so-and-so, it's by somebody else, or, that's obviously a forgery. Then you can go ahead and say, well, it's now been debunked and it's now considered a forgery. I think I've had a couple of, since I've been doing this, there was a forged Frans Hals painting that hit the news a few years ago. So I was like, I looked at it and I thought, well, that's odd. There's no provenance to this painting at all. And if Frans Hals was active in the 17th century and became famous in the 1870s, it's highly unlikely that there would be a recent discovery of a painting by him. But I thought, okay, I'll upload it. So I created an item for it, linked it to all the news articles. But sure enough, a year later, it turned out to be somewhat of a scandal, and it's called a forgery now. But, there you get this interesting debate on Wikimedia Commons. Is that then a artwork that should be deleted because it was created less than 70 years after the death of the forger, assuming the forger created it in the 20th century? I don't know. I mean, it's illegally created. So, how illegal can it be for Wiki Commons to have it on the website? It's so yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is you have a little bit more work to keep it from being deleted. That's all. And okay, I see, Subodh, you actually posted a link. You want to add data from this gallery. Okay, I don't know what Gallery 7 is, but I mean, just looking at it, looks like a fairly decent website. So, there's a difference between a blog, obviously, and an institution. But just as I was saying, there's also a gap between what is an authority control and what is notable enough for Wikipedia. What is a reliable source? That's really what it comes down to. And in general, when it comes to paintings, I have found very few websites that are clearly just trying to sell, an idea that is clearly wrong. I mean, generally, they're all giving you fairly high quality information about paintings. even the ones that are trying to sell you a painting tend to be fairly honest about the provenance of the painting and where it's coming from. And I think that has also to do with the fact that in these days, people are more demanding, right? They want that when they buy a painting, it's not just because it matches their couch or looks nice with their rug. They want to have some story attached to it. So they seem to be a little bit more demanding. And you see that in a lot of modern gallery websites, that they tend to offer more information about the paintings than they used to. So yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this website, so I can't really answer it, but it doesn't seem like it's anything that's going to, be a trigger to say, okay, delete now. Does that answer your question? Yeah, so an auction houses, I upload paintings from auction houses all the time. I mean, at least once a week. You want me to click on View Works. All right, I'll do that. Where do I see View Works? Artists. Select artist. All right, just select an artist. And on this artist, okay, anything modern, you're going to have a problem with copyright, right? So I don't know. There's this idea of a permalink. Permalinks are important for modern art. So go to below the profile of the painter. All right, let's go back. We're here on a painter, and I'm on the profile, I think. Okay, but there's no product listed in this. I don't know. Is there a way for you to share the link to a particular page? When it comes to using these links from oh, you got one. When it comes to using these links from auction websites, I highly recommend, if you're gonna base your Wikidata item off of this link, then go to the web archive, save that URL as a web archive link so that someone can retrace your steps. Okay, so in this particular case, these look, to me, these are drawings. These are not paintings. But yeah, I mean, theoretically, I don't see anything wrong with them. The only thing that I would tend to doubt is that I would not be surprised, if it is like any other Sotheby's or Christie's website, I would expect that they take the images down, or they only show you reduced images after the sale. And for that reason, I do tend to, set reminders for myself. I'm not very good at this. I only bother for Dutch and Flemish artists, but for Frans Hals, for example, I will go to the website before the auction, get the high resolution image, upload that to Commons, and then, I might worry about the Wikidata item later. So I just try and grab those images before I know they get reduced to smaller size. But yeah, my gut feeling is from this website, it's like, yeah, there's no reason that you could treat that in a different way than from the Sotheby's and Christie's websites. I mean, nothing against Sotheby's and Christie's, but they're just sales organizations, right? I mean, it's not exactly the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So Yeah, I mean, where would we be without the auction websites? In fact, you know what I was saying before about the most expensive paintings being in private hands. You won't even see those paintings if you don't actually look at auction websites. So don't underestimate the importance of the art market in our knowledge of art. And it's certainly true today that most art historians, especially now with, you know, a year of lockdowns and reduced footfall in the world's leading museums, I mean, how else are they going to make their money than be consultants for auction houses? So, you know, give them a break. You know, they're still scholars, and they're not going to sell their soul to the devil. So yeah. And one way to actually judge that is to go back in time. Go back and look at those old art gallery catalogs from the, you know, the 1850s or so, and just see how many of those paintings have been since debunked as being forgeries. Not very many, you know, and those guys were just trying to make a buck. They're just like anybody else. So, okay. We're entering our second hour now. I don't know if everyone would like to take like a short 5-minute break, or if you would like me to do some specific demonstrations, or to talk about what you think you would be interested in contributing to, as a way for me to have more of a grasp on what people would like to see in a datathon. Because I do honestly believe that in order to become a Wikidatan, you need to be interested for your own motivation, your own personal interest. If you don't like the art, you're not going to be interested in contributing. So if you're somebody who loves to go out to these temples and take pictures of reliefs, that's amazing. But maybe then you're interested in this datathon just as a way to orient yourself in how art is portrayed on Wikidata, because we don't have a very good project yet in sculpture. You know, it's one of the issues that keeps coming up again and again. You know, when are we going to get a sculpture project? Well, you know, I'm working on paintings now. I don't have time for sculpture, so we need volunteers. But you know, in order to lead the way, it's always useful to start with paintings. And whenever anyone's talking about things like the dresses and the shoes and the other fashion items, I always say, well, you know, go ahead and start with the paintings, because we have tons of very interesting you know, dresses and shoes and very strange hats in the paintings. And, you know, you can use those paintings, just, you know, take snippets of them to illustrate the hat or to illustrate the jewelry or whatever it is you're interested in. Because a lot of people complain that we don't have the images. Well, you know, you can go ahead and cut and paste those images from paintings. There's nothing wrong with that. They're great as illustrations. And I think that the entire encyclopedia now in various languages is very well illustrated with paintings from the Rijksmuseum collection, just because they were so early at uploading their collection. It was a very, very bold move to do, but because they were the first, their paintings have been cut up into dozens of pieces and used in articles all over the place. And I continue to be amazed to see, you know, where those paintings are used and what they're some of them used for. I seem to recall it was a painting of the Rijksmuseum used on an article about keel hauling, and I forget why, but I was wondering what that word was, keel hauling. Well, it's when a sailor was punished, and they would tie him up and they would throw him over the side of the ship and pull him up on the other side. And if he survived, then he could be a sailor for another day. And if he drowned, well, too bad. And I just thought it was an amazing term. And then it turns out that the keel haul was also a way of caulking a ship. So I was amazed that they actually had a painting of that. Don't underestimate what's locked into these paintings. And that's why it's important to actually have items for them, because then you can browse them, right? If we could browse the paintings of that William Simpson today, we'd probably find a lot more paintings of that Sanchi area in the 1860s, and it would be fascinating to compare it to the photographs that are on commons of the situation today. Of course, it's a major tourist destination, and that's part of what makes it such a photogenic project. People love to show these old landscape paintings superimposed on cityscapes today, and that sort of thing. So are there any suggestions for how to go with oh, I see more questions here. Can we have high resolution paintings of images from museum websites? Well, that's a question that I have for all the museums out there. Can we have them, please? Yes. I mean, yes. Yes, we can host them if we have them, but we often don't have them. I mean, most museums, let's face it, only show very small thumbnails if they show images at all. I mean, a lot of museums can't afford a website even. They might even have just some local tourist bureau that mentions them. That's all they can hope for. For example, in this country, in the Netherlands, I think every single town has a municipal painting collection, but not every single town has its own museum. So those older paintings, the paintings that are in the municipal collection from the earliest days that have not been sold, are now hanging in town halls or in public libraries. And I think that's true in most of the world. I think that's also true for a lot of towns and cities in the United States as well. So yeah, if there are museum websites and they have high resolution images, it'd be great to have a mass upload of those. But then you need some motivated volunteer who's willing to set that up and do that. I mean, Martin Dalmers has been doing that a lot, and he's quite good at it, but he's very picky. He will only, make a tool to do that for a museum that has a very clear terms and conditions link on their website that says, yes, we allow everyone to use our painting images for any purpose. So, all of the United Kingdom just is, out of reach because of that, because they actually say it's, CC by NC, right? Non-commercial. Well, if it's non-commercial, it's not suitable for commons, even though we know it's free, right? If it's a painting by Frans Hals, it's free. So I've uploaded Frans Hals paintings from UK websites, but yeah, we can't just import them willy-nilly, right? Theoretically. Few minutes break. Yes. Fine. We'll give everybody 5 minutes. Or do you need longer? 10 minutes? You're welcome.
So we can have a 5 minutes break.
Okay, great. 5 minutes. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Get myself some
Sure.
tea.
Okay, Jen is back and she's open for more questions. So if you have any more questions, uh, please post it in the Google Meet chat or in the Etherpad.
If you don't have any more questions, then I'm going to go ahead and just show you about what we did with an edit-a-thon that I helped organize here in Harlem for a museum that was founded in the 18th century. I'll have to look it up again, I guess. But it was an edit-a-thon, not a datathon. This was before Wikidata. But it's you can actually Google it yourself. It was called the Tyler's Challenge. Let's see, I think it was called the Tyler's Challenge. It was on English Wikipedia, but we had contributions in a lot of different languages. And if you look at how the point system was set up, it was kind of on an honor system. And I think that would be the best way to go forward with the datathon, because I don't want to create categories of points, you know, that might lock people into thinking in a certain way. I think it's important that people are allowed their own creativity when they approach this idea of improving Wikidata, because there's so much still to be done in just within this narrow definition of a painting, that I don't want people to feel that they have to conform to some group of paintings. That's definitely not the goal. The goal is to get as much as possible in as diverse a way as possible, and if anything, to open up the concept of what is a painting. You know, when you have any book that says this is the most important list of paintings in the entire world, I think every list, whether it's 100 or 1,000, it will include the Mona Lisa. But I don't know if any of you have actually seen the Mona Lisa, but it's not a very impressive painting. I mean, it's impressive as a concept of a painting, but the painting itself is quite small. We may start from compiling data of all collections first, then all paintings, art schools, state-wise. Yes, state-wise. I don't know about all collections or all painters or even all art schools. I mean, those are probably infinite lists, but definitely state-wise. I was trying to do that a little bit myself, trying to figure out how to get state-wise lists going, because I know people are always triggered by their own local information. And for India, because it's so big, it's much easier to set it up state-wise. So I was looking into that, but I honestly can't even tell you how many states there are in India. And the way it looks for India today, it looks very much the way the Netherlands looks today. So the Netherlands is an old country, but it has had very many different borders, and that's true of India as well. So when we say someone has citizenship, the Netherlands, we mean the Netherlands as it was after Indonesia exited, right? So you have to have been born after World War II. So it's very difficult to actually pinpoint the Netherlands as a place that something is from in terms of the painting. You actually have to remember, oh, this was Dutch Republic then, or it was this or that. And the same thing is true for India, I noticed. So you have British India, you have all these other concepts like that. And that's why I think state-wise is important, because state-wise, you also have different country names and in different time periods, and it makes it just a little bit easier to pinpoint things. And especially because when you look at things like what I was talking about before, this sort of glob of Asian art collections, you'll notice that they will sort of pinpoint it to specific regions, and that is very helpful. So I do think it's important, not just from the paintings perspective, by the way, to try and get this state-wise hierarchy set up in Wikidata in a way that enables these tracking lists, like the one that I showed you for the landscape art. So state-wise is very important. I'm not quite sure how to approach that, because India probably has had more border disputes than the Netherlands. And we have our own challenges with that. So we're not quite clear where our southern border ends and where Belgium begins. And I'm sure that that's true for a lot of different India states as well. But we do have, when it comes to painters, we have the other ways of tracking certain types of paintings. So we have this concept, for example, of the Delft School, which has been written about quite a bit. And there was not a painting school, but the idea of the Delft School was something that was similar to what Peter de Hooch was doing. And this idea of having a room, and then there's an open door in the room, and you look through the open doorway and you see another room. And in Dutch, they call it a doorkijkje. Well, that's a typical art genre that came from the Delft School. Now, when we talk about painters of the Delft School, then there's only a handful of painters. I think it's like 10 tops who actually are listed as being in that school, but there was no school. It's just, that's the way they're handled. And I think that that's also true of the Indian situation. And it has to do with where the leaders had their palaces, and who was interested in art the most, and where were the centers for craftsmanship. And okay, now I've got another link. You want a demo of connecting a painting from Commons Wikidata? Okay, that's kind of fun to do. We can do that. Might have to create an item first. Let's see. Okay, Mughal School. Yes, the Mughal School is a good example. So we don't know very much about this painting, besides the fact that it's on display at this museum, and it's called 18th Century Mughal School, right? And we know who it is. That's actually quite a lot of metadata for Indian painting. So yes, this is definitely item worthy, right? No question about it. It has a museum, it's in use. It does not have an artist, but it certainly has a museum and a depicted person. We don't know if this person, Mastani Peshwa, has an item, but as the sitter of an important painting, it's okay. Here's Mastani. Oh, look. Not only that, the painting is in different versions and it's in use. It's here clearly in use on Wikidata. Okay, perfect example here. look at all the iterations of this. So where's this one from? Okay, this one actually has a link. Oh, with an actual, oh, yeah, that's often the case. I'm not going to install anything. So it's from a messenger board on a museum website. Interesting. Well, you could probably narrow it down. You can probably find it on the website. This comes back to what I was saying before about websites for museums. They're expensive, right? I mean, it's just not a luxury that many museums have.
So rajakhekarmuseum.org is the website.
This one?
rajakhekarmuseum.org. I think it's .com.
So if you go to the Google chat, Subodh has already linked the museum.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the only real restriction we have on commons is the 70 year after the death of the painter rule, right? So I think in some countries there's this concept of not having any rights for anonymous paintings. I'm kind of rusty on this stuff because I haven't had to deal with it. So if you don't have enough metadata, then the idea is you can't really prove that it's old enough, and therefore it's not legal. But I think knowing the struggles of various Dutch institutions, they actually want more help from the crowd to help them pinpoint this stuff, because they don't have the tools to do it all themselves. So the less they know about their own collection, the more willing they are to share it. But I think in this particular case, I think this is, where is it here? I think it's probably free, right? It's probably a 19th century painting. Is that what it said? Oh, even 18th century. Yeah, definitely not an issue then. Yeah. Yeah, so we could create an item for this one. Does anyone want to try it? We could share the screen and go ahead and create it.
So okay.
Which one do you want to pick? I mean, I would go, I think they're all the same painting, right?
Same person.
Same person, yeah. I can't tell if the colors have been enhanced by a wiki communist or if it's the actual colors. I mean, you never can tell. I don't know what these are. Oh, these are prints. Oh, fascinating. Painting on glass. Wow. So which is the original, or are all of these the same one? It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Just pick one and we can go ahead and create it by hand.
Okay. So I search for the name of the person, or like, okay.
Well, the name is here, right? The name is just Mastani. So it's a portrait of Mastani.
Yes.
I don't know. Can you share your screen?
Okay, cool.
Is there a way for you to share your screen, or can I share, or if you create the item, then I can share your item?
Portrait of Mastani. I think first you'll have to stop sharing and then I will be able to share or something like that.
So if I type in portrait of Mastani,
Mhm.
I mean, it really depends what language you have set in your Wikidata. I mean, my Wikidata is set by default to English, but I don't know what language you're using. But if I search for this title, I don't find it. I have this link under here to say create a new item for this.
Mhm.
I honestly don't know what would be proper in this case. Is she a princess? Can we just say Mastani? It seems a bit of a short name, right? But there's no other, it's just, she's listed as Mastani, the second wife of Baijaro. Sometimes there's a little bit more information under the spouse than there is under the wife. At least that's the way it is for Western painting.
So she has Wikipedia page also, Mastani, and she was daughter of Maharaja.
Yes, right. So there's no doubt about her notability.
Mhm.
Yeah, here's her English page. We can find that. She's just called Mastani. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, so you can just copy this as a description. Where was I? As a typical Wikidatan, there I am creating tons and tons of
Tabs.
tabs. Okay, create a new item. We're going to say portrait of Mastani. Created. Description. I'm just pasting it from the Wikipedia page. And I say create. Okay, and now on your screen, you can type this in and you can go ahead and start adding statements, right? And you
Okay.
can start with adding the translated version of Portrait of Mastani in your language. I'm going to say it's an instance of a painting. Visual artwork with a surface artistically covered with paint. That's the one we want, not the art of painting.
Mhm.
There we are.
273.
And we're going to say the collection is the name of this collection, which, no, I forgot the name of the collection. Maybe the collection is missing a item. That's also possible. Didn't think of that. Nope, here we are.
Okay.
Okay, did you add anything?
0, 2, 7, 3, 0, 5. Okay.
So we can add the property for depicts and say that it depicts Mastani. And the Mastani that it depicts is this one.
7, 3.
Oh, she is a princess.
Right,
Interesting.
right. Okay. So painting, Rajatlekha Museum, add statement. So this is funny. Right. Okay.
So, Jane, I think Avinav wants to share his screen. So,
Okay, do I say stop sharing, stop presenting?
yeah, you have to stop sharing, and then Avinav can share his screen.
Done.
Okay.
Avinav, you can share your screen now.
Some error is dragon. Are you able to see my screen now?
It's coming, I think.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to connect that image with this like number.
The inventory number. Oh, I didn't know there was an inventory number. Yeah, sure. That's the right one. Inventory number. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, and so where do I get this inventory number from?
Oh, that's the 64-cent question. I mean, when it comes to museums, they don't often have their inventory number. I mean, they probably have one, but it's not often something that's on their museum website. So I think this was the one, right? So we can see if they have this one, because this is going to be one of their more important ones.
Okay.
Is this the right one? I think it's still the right one. Mastani, I think. I can't remember. Mastani. Yeah, just skip the inventory number. You can add depicts, which is property P180. You can type P180 in the statement.
Okay.
Depicts, that's the one. And now you say Mastani. And then you have to be careful that you picked up the one that's,
Yes.
yeah, the right one. And then click publish. There
Okay.
it is. And now you can add with P18, which is the image statement, you can add the, yeah, there it is. You can add the file name.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, got it. And I have
And
one
what else
more.
can we say about it? We can say it also depicts, it doesn't just depict Mastani, right? It also depicts a bird. I think it's a bird. Is that a bird?
Yes, it's a bird.
Okay. Do you know which bird? In the depict statement, you already have a depict statement at the top of your screen. You can just click add value.
Add value. Okay.
No, not there. That's the image value. One before that, you have the depicts statement.
Yeah.
A little bit further up.
Yeah. This one, right?
No, that's the image. That's P18.
Okay.
One up. Yeah, under depicts. Yeah, there you go.
Bird.
Oh, no, now you're adding a reference. We don't want that. Cancel that.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's a value. You're right. You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just say bird.
Bird class of
Yeah,
tetrapods.
class of tetrapods. We don't have anything better than that. If you knew what bird it was, you could add the bird, but We'll just say bird.
Hmm.
There it is. She's shown with a bird. There you go.
And references 0.
Yeah, there's no way to really reference an image. The image itself is non-referenceable. It's the image. Yeah. Okay, what other statements can we add? We have the collection. Oh, you can add the location. The location is the same as the collection.
Okay. So it's the location of this painting. Where is, in which museum it is, right?
Yeah, but I already put the collection is in there, so you can just copy it from the collection. That is the one, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and now, what else can we say about it? Oh yeah, the creator is anonymous, right? Because we don't know who it is. Yeah, that's the one, the top one.
Yeah.
And we know the time period, right? Time period was 18th century.
18th century. Yeah.
So we can say inception. And I think, yeah, just say 1850s or 1750s rather.
1950. Okay.
Yeah, you can put an S after that to make it less specific.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can actually add a qualifier to say circa, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we don't have an inventory number. We don't have height and width, right? That's the kind of metadata you would expect from the museum, but it's not included in the file.
Subodh has shared, I think, link to file. Let me check. Is it there, Subodh?
I don't think so. I thought I looked at it.
Okay, so can we have statement Mughal school as somewhere?
Yeah, what else can we say about this? Let's see, we've got the image, we've got the time, we've got the location, creator depicts, collection. Oh, we can say something about the location of creation, right? So it's another one we thought was important for Indian paintings. So I'm not sure if the location of creation is the same as Pune. Do you think it's a Pune painting, or I'm not sure where Mastani actually lived.
She lived in Pune.
Oh, she did. Okay, then yeah, then it's
but-
definitely location of creation
Yeah.
is Pune. Pune, or I don't even know how to pronounce the town.
It's a Pune. Okay. I will get the actual location from museum.
But we are not sure, right, that this is this
No,
was
I'm
created in
not
Pune, so we can skip it.
Well, I don't know.
Okay,
If it's in Pune and she lived in Pune, then where else would it have been made? You could
Actually,
say-
she was born in another place in Bundelkhand,
she
and
was.
she
Okay.
lived in Pune. So we
Oh.
cannot say that.
We cannot say for sure. Okay. But we can say then that she was, the location of creation is India. Or maybe we could even say it was a certain state, if we know for sure she never left the state.
Yeah, it was from the Maratha Empire. So you can say the location of creation is Maratha Empire,
Maratha Empire. Okay, yeah.
because India was not there in 1750s.
Exactly. Comes back to my point about this whole hierarchy of places. Yeah. Now, what else can we say about it? So the location of creation.
We can say about the country of origin also, because that would be also Maratha Empire.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And we can say it's Mughal school, right? In movement. Type
Yes,
in
yes.
movement, M-O-V. It should pop up. There you go. Movement is the Mughal school. I think the Mughal school has an item.
Oh,
Nope.
no.
Mughal painting, maybe? There it is.
Okay.
Yeah, particular type. I think it's a movement. It's really regional. It gets fuzzy when it comes to these Asian art things. So, and we might want to change that, but we'll go ahead and link it. And then we can always go back and change it if we create Mughal school.
Okay.
But then we have to define what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we can say the material used. We know the material used is probably opaque watercolor paint on paper, right? They all were.
Used.
You can just say gouache, I think is the,
Watercolor.
I think it's one word, watercolor paint.
It is to surface. Okay.
Watercolor space paint.
Okay.
There you go. And paper. Okay, can we say anything else about this?
Let's see what else we have remained here.
Oh, we have the title, right? The title is probably just her name without the portrait.
Okay.
We don't know for sure, but just judging from the number of times it's been uploaded under that one title, that's probably the title. Okay, and there's no page on the website we can link to, unfortunately, but we can leave it this way.
There is a page.
Oh, there is a page. Oh, great.
Yeah. So
So we can use the P973, which is for described at URL.
three.
You're a nerd if you know all the numbers for all the properties. Okay, great. This is great. Now we can add this item to all three of those images we saw in the category. And that will add this Wikidata metadata to the painting on Commons.
Category.
You can just click the image from the painting item. Oh, there you are. You need to copy the item number, the QID.
Okay, so QID.
Oh, you wanted to add the category to the item. No. That category belongs to her item. You could create a category in this category, a subcategory for just this painting, because we have 3 images of this painting now in that category.
So it's
But
a
we don't have-
commons
we don't have-
category or
No, you can't add this to the paint because that category is already attached to her item. So she has a biographical item, and her biographical item has its own commons category. But
Okay.
this particular portrait has 3 images on commons, so you could create a subcategory for that under her item. But what I meant was
Mhm.
have enough data in the item now, enough metadata that we can add the QID of this painting, the Q
Okay.
number, to
Mhm.
the commons file. Yeah, that.
Okay.
So just edit the file.
Add the category of or the file.
Yeah, just click on the file.
And
Oh, she's in use on a lot of.
there
Project.
is okay.
No. Go up to the top of this page and click edit.
Okay.
And it's currently with an information template. You have to change the information text to artwork because we're going to use the artwork template. And then you press new line. And you put in a vertical bar and type Wikidata is
equal to
equals the QID.
okay.
There you go. And now click publish.
Funny boy.
And there you have the metadata added to the commons file.
Okay. Great.
And now you can do that for the other 2 versions of that painting, right? Because there were 2 in a sort of gray version, but it was the same painting. So you can have 2 more paintings added to that Wikidata item. But this is great. You did it.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So this is
It came
like
full circle. Now, I have to say the work on the artwork template is not my own work. I have not contributed that. That's all Jarek, I think. And that makes use of this structured data on commons, right?
Mhm.
Yes, you can add that same artwork template with the QID to the 2 versions in the grayish zone, because those are all in the same museum, right? It's just one had the colors enhanced and the other 2 are the same painting, I think. Is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And
Oh, Subodh says it's not from the same museum. If it's not the same museum, then it's not the same item. Then don't do it. I thought it
It's
was the
from-
same museum.
yeah, it's from the same museum.
Oh, it is the same museum. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The other ones, no, the other ones were different. Oh, the glass painting. Yes, those were different. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we could use the duplicate this painting trick to create a new item for the glass painting version, right? Because basically the statements are the same, who it depicts, that it's a painting. The material used is different because instead of paper and opaque watercolor paint, it's glass, but theoretically you could use the duplicate this painting to handle the, as a shortcut to creating an item for the other paintings. So this is the most beautiful woman. That's interesting. I guess it's true. There are very, very few portraits of Indians from the 18th century. So this painting is very unusual, I guess. And it would make sense that the only reason we have it today is because she was considered the most beautiful.
Yeah, she was like princess in
Yeah.
Maratha Empire and
Interesting.
daughter of the like emperor.
Because I know that when it comes to the early Indian emperors and so forth, you see them more as a scene in a landscape where they're actually doing something. They're killing an animal or they're, doing some business or whatever, but you don't see them portrayed as in a half-length portrait like this. It's just not an Indian thing, apparently. Oh, I see in the chat about paintings by women. Well, there is a project on a sub-project of SOAP that I did start, which is the Wiki Project Women. And as a sub-project of that, I also created portraits of women and self-portraits of women. So this painting will now show up theoretically in a current Listeria list for portraits of women from the 1750s. Unfortunately, the painting is actually only set to the 1750s, I think. Let me see if I can find the link.
So Abhinav, if you are done, then we can switch the screenshot to Jen.
Sure. Thank you,
Oh,
Jen.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
How do I do that now? Send my entire screen and share. Okay, can you see my screen? I can't tell.
Yes, yes,
Oh.
yes.
All right. Let me see how I get there. I go to here, my user page, and so if I go to pendant portraits. Oh, if there's a portrait of her husband, which we don't know because he might not have been considered handsome enough for a half-length portrait, we could put them in this list too as well. But for example, if I click on this painting of a woman, we can see where she shows up. Oh yeah, here she is. Oh, unfortunately, she's not dated. So we don't have her in that portraits of women, or she's not named. So we need one that is named. Here, this one, she's named, I think.
So portrait of her husband is also available, like not the portrait. Is it a portrait?
Yeah, now you know how to do portraits. You can go to town and do more portraits.
Yeah.
I think I can only do portraits of women that are named. Let's see. I think she's named. Is she? Yeah, she's named. Okay, so this one will be linked to that. Oh, she's not. Oh, here we are. Portraits of Women, 1630 to 1639. So this is these are Listeria lists that update once a month, and it's a sub project to the Wiki Project Women, but it's also a sub project of portraits. So I have it linked from the portraits page. And if I say what links here, I can get at the other decades. So if we go to the 1750s, like here, hopefully our painting will show up in it if I click on this manually update. So this is Listeria, which has this helpful little picture of a Listeria bacteria, but it's just a project by Magnus Manska to add lists of things to Wikimedia projects. I use it all the time. Now, if it was picked up, it'll show up in this one, but she might not be added yet because I think there's a time lag between the paintings as they are used by Listeria and the painting and the data that is used by Listeria and the data that is actually in the database. So I might have to wait until tomorrow until it shows up. But on the other hand, it could also be because it wasn't specific. We just said 1750s with an S. As you can see, browsing through this list, it's all Western art. So there's just very few portraits from anywhere except Europe at this point. She's not in here. At least I missed her. So we could try the one before that. I don't know if this is 1750s. I honestly don't know. But we did link it to her as a depicted person, and I assume that her Wikidata item has the proper female gender attached to her item. I didn't check that, but theoretically this will only give you dated paintings of actual humans, human women. I'm not seeing her in here either. Bummer. Anyway, this is where she should show up as a portrait of a woman. So yes, there is a wiki project, women, but in terms of paintings, all I have are the portraits so far, and that we have self-portraits of women also, which I have in a chronological order from earliest to latest. So that's also a project that that you can keep in mind. And there's self-portraits of men list as well. So this was something that we started with the first art and feminism meetup, or it was an editathon, I think, art and feminism editathon. I forget when that was. I think that was about 5 years ago. So this is a fairly old list, and when we started, it was the same as starting now with paintings of India. I think we only had like 4 or 5, and Sandra Fouconier and I we added like I don't know, something like 80 in a week, and since then it's been slowly growing, which is nice. It's interesting when it comes to self-portraits. I don't know if any of you know, but the Uffizi in Italy has a horrible website. In fact, I don't think they even have their own website, but they actually have this historical stash of self-portraits. It became a something that that was a thing for painters. They would go to Florence and they would give their self-portrait to the Uffizi, and the Uffizi self-portraits are just amazingly huge, and they're not on display, or very few of them are on display. But it's possible that there are some Indian self-portraits in the Uffizi, and it would have been something that it was just one of those things that you did on your grand tour of Europe as a young artist. It would be part of your education to go to Florence and paint your self-portrait and give it to the Uffizi. So I think a lot of the illustrations for women's articles we did get because there was a project that started, I think, about 20 years ago now, to try and actually update the information they had about the self-portraits. Because, of course, it was such a large collection that the Uffizi didn't even know what their self-portraits were. So that's also a place to look in terms of collections, interesting collections to look for significant Indian paintings or paintings of India. It's also interesting to keep in mind that there are this untapped source of self-portraits in Florence. Okay, where are we now? Oh, yes, provenance. So we were just in our exercise of going through this, creating an item for this one portrait. We don't know for sure where it was created. Well, that's one of the main challenges you have with paintings in general, is that you'll often find that their provenance, even for very old paintings, it generally does not go very far back. In fact, because of World War II and World War I, for that matter, the collection lines have been broken. And we all know about the Holocaust and this seizure of Jewish-owned property. So there's a huge group of paintings that have really been wiped off the map. And you know, back in the 1960s and 70s, they said, "Oh, well, those paintings were all burned." Well, we now know because of the major news stories that have come out in the 90s and in the 2000s that a lot of those paintings did survive in those salt mines and so forth, and they just sort of disappeared into the art market. And it's because, you know, the owners died and nobody had a catalog of their personal possessions, and so a lot of it is just, you know, we'll never know. But it's interesting because there again you have the incredible value of early catalogs. So catalogs that were created and published in the 1920s and 30s, you know, they have photographs in there or engravings, and it's been a journey to try and hook up these paintings to, you know, their original provenance lines. And for very, very important paintings, it's been done. I mean, it was done already in the 1950s, but it's only now that these paintings of secondary importance are having the same thing happen. So I think when it comes to adding paintings to Wikidata, if a museum or a auction website does have the provenance, then you want to add these provenance statements through the owned by fields. That's the P127. And if you have start and finish dates. So there's a lot of old catalogs that will substantiate the claims in these statements. But, you know, when it comes to these Asian art collections that I was talking about before, often the Asian art was very well detailed in the collection of the previous owner to the museum. So if you have the owned by statement, then that does help later Wikidatans who are familiar with those collections to add further information they might have. They may have access to the actual catalogs. I mean, there are a lot of catalogs available on the web archive. In fact, I do a lot of work with catalogs that have been uploaded by the Getty Art Institute. But when it comes to catalogs that were published, let's say in the, after World War II or something, I mean, then those are not free catalogs. So, you'd need to get them from your library or something like that. So I can imagine that when it comes to these Asian art collections that are, located somewhere in the Western world, it's not going to be the kind of information that's freely available to someone who's actually working in India. But I don't know if you know this, but on the Web Archive, they actually have uploaded a lot of Google Books now with this borrow option, and you can borrow a catalog for 1 hour, and I've done that a lot. I've done that a lot for collection catalogs, in fact. So the museum website might have some information about a painting, and then if I see that there's a collection catalog from that museum on the Web Archive, I'll go ahead and borrow it for an hour and look up the painting in that collection catalog, and there's often a lot more information in that catalog number than there is on the museum website, which makes sense. I mean, some museums have so many items, and they're trying to fit all of their paintings into this one software program that will show them on the web. They can only show you a very limited number of metadata types, and there's always going to be a lot more locked into some catalog text. It's the same as comparing Wikidata to Wikipedia, right? We can say a lot more about a painting on Wikipedia than we can in Wikidata. And I think that's the challenge, is when it comes to modeling, which is somewhat captured up here in this list of possible statements. How do we say certain things that are common? Well, on museums, you have this concept of a credit line, and the credit line is often something like, this painting was left to us by the collection of Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. Well, we can't really say that easily in Wikidata unless we create an item for the collection of Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. So the clue is to try and figure out ways to say things in a standard way, and credit lines are just not standard. So sometimes credit lines can be very long. They can say, well, we exchanged this painting back in the 1920s with this other museum, and it was part of a large exchange of paintings or something like that. I mean, there's no way to model that on Wikidata. So this idea of creating new ways to describe certain aspects of a painting is an ongoing process. So part of this process is also creating a version of authority control by adding institutions or properties for institutions that actually list paintings. So something that I recently discovered when I was working on a particular catalog is that the New York large museums, I think it was, well, Frick is not large, but the Frick Museum and the Brooklyn Museum and the Museum of Modern Art, there's this New York archive consortium, and I realized they had data with images in there that I did not expect, and so I proposed a property, and I just got the property recently, so I think I still have it here. But this idea of a property proposal is something that we will need to let's see. We will need to do probably for this Sum of All Paintings project in India. So the idea of a property is being able to create new statements for Wikidata items. And this is just one example of something that I was informed on recently. So this is a very typical property proposal, and we just uploaded a painting for that museum, and that museum has a website. And if we are able to find out what the inventory numbers are for a painting, and if they are listed on the website, then we can go ahead and create a property proposal for that museum, and then figure out how the web URL works. And this is an example for the Dallas Museum of Art, and this is just a recently created property, because we already had quite a few paintings on Wikidata for the Dallas Museum of Art. And I don't know if any of you have ever proposed properties before, but this is a very typical kind of painting property. I mean, obviously you could also use it for sculpture or something, but it's probably now today mostly used for paintings. And I've proposed a few of these for museums, but I also just recently proposed one for, I think it's called New York City Arc, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't remember. I don't know how to look. I don't know how to find these things on proposals. I'm still not very good at navigating Wikidata itself, but the property proposals that I can imagine we will need for the sum of all paintings in India would be collections in India, but also for the particular time periods. So we could either do that with properties, or we could do that with items for anonymous artists. That we say an anonymous artist from a certain period, or a certain state, or a certain palace entourage, or something like that. But we could also create properties for more specific types of Indian paintings that have to do with the format. For example, the physical format, or for the depicted format. I'm just guessing here. I can't really think, but this is the place that you would propose those properties to create those statements. Are there any questions? Pigeon. What is pigeon? Is that what she was holding in that portrait? It didn't look like a pigeon. It looked more like a sparrow. But I mean, I don't know if you can have a pet sparrow. In Dutch painting, you have a lot of portraits of people holding finches. I don't know. I don't even quite know what a finch is. I just know that they've been called finches, which is sort of a generic Western European bird, I think. I don't think that's a pigeon. Is that a pigeon? It's a very thin-looking pigeon. I honestly don't know. What have we got here? Oh, you might create one. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. There are not very many women around. It's true. There are a lot of women in this, though. You said there's no women here? Not a single Indian woman. Yeah, no, I don't. I wouldn't expect that. No, in fact, I think the only women who are in here right now are women from the Netherlands, North and South Netherlands, a few French women, and a lot of English women. I think we did a somewhat mass upload of British women artists.
So I have added one Indian woman right now.
Great. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we did. I did do. I did do a catalog. So whenever I see these things, like I said, I go to these. I don't know if you can see this. If I stop presenting, can you see my screen? Can you see me? I don't know if you can see me. I'm holding up this book here, but it's
I can see.
Okay, the Great Women are Masters of Art. So when I find a book like this, I always buy it because I thought, okay, well, just make sure they're all indexed. So I did do this one. So there is an English Wikipedia article for Great Women Masters of Art, but there's not an Indian in here, I don't think. Pretty sure there isn't. In fact, it's quite a narrow field, and as I recall, I think there's like one woman from Spain or something. But you got to start somewhere, right? So we take what we can get. So is there any particular questions from anybody about ways to contribute that are outside the normal space of uploading images of paintings or creating items for paintings? Is there anyone who's more interested in the metadata aspect or in the way of measuring? So this family of listeria lists, for example, still needs to be built for India, right? Ideally on a state level. I said it would be nice to create a Wikimedia project, a cross Wikimedia project to do the sum of all paintings of India, and then see if we can sort of take a 360-degree look at what is on Commons. Can we categorize the Commons paintings in the proper categories for Sanchi in art, Taj Mahal in art, as opposed to the way they are now sort of categorized into the place names, and the various anonymous paintings sorted into periods or into places or schools or something, because that's all work that also needs to be done as a way of being able to think of point systems. How do you assign points to someone who's participating in the datathon? I mean, in a way, making the works available is going to be something that's more important in the long run than each individual work itself, I think. Unlocking these categories that are now kind of large Asian art categories is going to be the main challenge, because I think as we get to the specifics, people get enthusiastic. It's hard to be enthusiastic when you don't know where to begin. But when you are given a specific thing to do, it becomes a much simpler task. And I think enabling people on the ground in their own particular interest is the key. But I'm sort of fishing here for suggestions how to actually inspire people. I guess that's the key. What is this? Rita, how is she doing? Does she have her own item? Does she have her paintings on? This is the one that got shared. Oh, look at her. She's got lots of paintings. Nice. Very nice. And there's a self-portrait. Well, if there's a self-portrait, then I expect her to show up in the list of self-portraits. Let's see. It has a date. It has a genre. All right, let's go. Yes, She is in Self-Portraits of Women. Look at that. So I spoke too soon. So I expected to have no Indian woman here, but she was in there. Awesome. Or did you just add her? Oh, I see. We're already way past our 2 hours. I'm sorry, keeping everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it wasn't too fast for you. You know where to find me. You can just drop me a message on my talk page, and I will publish a place where people can sign up for the Datathon. And I am not sure about a point system. My gut feeling is that adding a painting, such as the one that that you just added, of a portrait that's used in multiple projects and multiple Wikipedia projects, I think that is the kind that should be the most value. Interested participants. Well, we certainly have interested participants. Yes. So we need a way to have a place for these interested participants to actually track their points, and I can imagine that I would say, if we have a scale of 1 to 10, 1 point would be, something simple. And then 10 points would be adding a painting to Wikidata that's in use on multiple projects. I mean, that would be the most valuable thing. And then maybe 5 points in general for adding any painting to Wikidata. Just get the paintings up there. And maybe, also 10 points for figuring out how to create a listeria list of paintings per Indian school. I mean, I don't even know how to do that. So something like that. I mean, I do think we need to do something about untangling this concept of a school of painters versus a genre of painting, and somehow create something that's somewhat more specific. I have a couple of ideas in my head. One of them is we have this generic Wikimedia property that we can always use as a secret weapon, which is this concept of a wiki project. We can create a wiki project called The Sum of All Paintings of India, or Sum of All Indian Paintings. Oh, wow, great, thanks. And then on this page, we can just use that we can create an item for this project, and then we can use that item as on any Wikidata item. So we can say, okay, this particular property is of interest to the Sum of All Indian Paintings project. This painting is of interest, or this particular genre is of interest. And then if you watch all of those, you can see the related changes, and you can keep tabs on what's going on with your project without having to watch every single page in the project. Yes, we definitely need to list the parameters of the point system on the event page. I detect an editathon organizer in that comment. Let me tell you. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So so our plan was to gift the to get the results of the datathon and gift it to the Wikidata 8th birthday. So maybe we can, if we can figure out how to easily do the point system without doing much more manual work, that is fine. But we can also we can also provide the visualization graphs and other visualization charts, and that we can post as a gift.
Yeah, I don't know if we really want to bother with outreach. Do you? I mean, I've done a lot of work on outreach, and of course, a lot of editathons are run from Meta, but I kind of like the idea of just keeping it all on Wikidata in one place. So this landing page that we've created is already pretty good. And I don't expect to have a whole huge group of people participating, but I think it'd be more, you know, like a smaller committee of like between 20 and 40 at the very, very outside most possible. I mean, I don't expect more than that if I compare it to what we did for Tyler's. And we were able to keep that all on one page, basically, where people were just sort of adding points, their own points, with a link to what they did. And I think that's easier than taking it to outside projects, because nobody wants to switch screens and go to a, you know, outside Wikidata if you're just dealing with Wikidata. We could put it on Commons though, because it's such a visual arts project. But I also don't want to shut anybody out who's not actually doing anything with Commons and is just working on modern art. So I think we just need to add like
Yeah, sure.
add a tab to this page or something like that. Set it up. But great. I'm glad that you all lasted this long. I'm
so,
surprised.
but if someone wants to catalog or a list of paintings, then that point system would be a little bit difficult. At the point is to do some outreach and get some results. So yeah, fine.
I don't know if somebody went ahead and uploaded 1,000 paintings and claimed, you know, 1,000 times 5 points. Hey, I'm not going to stand in their way. I'm not going to do a mass upload. So, you know, I don't know if that's undesirable. You know, in the end, it's all a gift for Wikidata, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for lasting this
conclude
long.
now because we have already passed
exactly
more than 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's
So this was a nice session, Jen.
yeah. Thanks for letting me ramble on. And
we have 7 people left here at the end of the session. So this is a nice session, and this is a session. And tomorrow we are going to start the datathon, and I will start some promotion in different social media and other mailing list. So let's see what happens after 16 days.
Excellent. And if you know anybody who's willing to help with the lists, you know, try and get them involved. And I'm looking forward to see what the datathon brings us. Absolutely. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, Jen. Thank you for the session. Thank you.
Bye, Jen.
Bye.